Whenever you make purchases with a credit card, you're going to want to make sure to record that purchase in your Main Street software. There are two different areas where you would do that. You have your purchases where you have a invoice from a vendor that you've recorded into the software and you want to show that you've paid that invoice with a credit card, or you just have your miscellaneous purchases that you make with a credit card. Now, the tutorials that you had watched regarding how to put invoices into AP and pay those invoices did cover how to make payments with a credit card, but we'll go over those quickly once again here. And then also the tutorial that talked about making miscellaneous payments did talk about doing credit card payments, but we'll again focus on those credit card payments specifically here and go through that once again. Now, before you start, you have to make sure that you have your credit card set up in the Main Street software. So if you haven't watched the tutorials on how to set up your credit cards in Main Street, go ahead and watch those first and then come back to this tutorial and continue on with it. Once you have your credit card set up, again, you're going to do it one of two ways. You're going to either have an invoice that you've posted in Main Street that you're going to mark that you're paying it with a credit card, and the other way would be just to use the miscellaneous payment section in order to show a purchase that you made using a credit card. So let's take a look at the invoice first. When you go into the invoice section to create an invoice for a vendor, you can go over here to the pay method and mark that you're going to pay it with a credit card. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just put an amount in there and we'll save that invoice. Then when we're ready to pay this invoice, we're going to go into one of the pay invoice sections. And then here you can see the invoice I just put in at the bottom there, and over in the payment method it shows credit card. So if I mark this invoice to be paid, I'll then save that, and now all I have to do is post that payment. So far I've put an invoice in, I've marked that invoice to be paid. Now I'm going to go in and tell the program that I have made the payment with the credit card. So once it actually has been paid, you're going to go into this post credit card payment section here, and it's going to show us at the bottom there that there's one credit card payment to post to PGW. So up here in the account section, we'd pick the credit card that we used to pay the bill with, and then here in the post date, the date that the payment was posted to our account, and then we just choose post all, and now it's recorded that payment that we made on that invoice. The other thing that would come up would be we just need to go make a purchase. So we need to go, let's say, get gas in our van, and we go down to the local service station there, fill up and use our credit card, and we need to record that payment. In order to do that, we're going to go into the AP section, we're going to go to the checks payments, and then we're going to go to the miscellaneous checks EFT credit card receipt section. So here, this is normally where you would write a check out, but we also use it to record our credit card payments, and we do it much in the same way that we would for a check. We're going to put a vendor in the pay to the order of section. So if I went down the street, say to my local Exxon station, I could put Exxon in there, and I can either do it as a miscellaneous vendor, or if I go there often and make purchases, then I can add them in as an account. I'm just going to go ahead and put them in as a miscellaneous vendor for right now. You do need to put in a memo, so we'll just put in gas there. And then up in the top, we need to make sure to check the credit card purchase option there. So now the program knows that we're not writing a check, that we actually made a purchase with one of our credit cards. Again, in the account drop-down window, we would choose which account we're going to use, and then the date of the transaction. And then now down in the GL distribution area, we would put in the amount of the purchase. And then for the general ledger account, we would put in the GL account that we want to post this to. Now, obviously, if you're not using the general ledger module, you would just fill in the amount up in the amount box up at the top, and you wouldn't put anything of it in the GL distribution area. And then once we have everything in there, we just simply go up to the top and choose Save, and it's saved as a credit card purchase. It's important to note here, when you do record this credit card purchase, the vendor is who you actually made the purchase from, not the credit card company of the credit card that you used. And in the GL distribution, you're going to post it directly to the expense account for whatever the purchase was. Then at the end of the month, when you get your statement and then you're ready to pay your statement, instead of putting an invoice in your accounts payable, I would recommend, again, you come into the miscellaneous check section. Now in the pay to the order of, you're going to put in the vendor that you have set up in your vendor accounts for that credit card. So I'm going to pay my Visa. So I put in my account for Visa card, and I can put in my August statement. And then here, normally when you're purchasing something, you check the credit card purchase, but we're paying our bill. So now it's coming out of our checking account. It's not a credit card purchase. So here in the account, we're going to leave it on our bank account that the money will be coming out of. So if you have multiple accounts, you'd want to make sure to pick the correct bank account. And then you would pick the correct date and then fill in the amount. Or if you're using general ledger, you're going to go down here. And you notice in the general ledger account, I've already got it set to the 2011 liability account for Visa, and we set that up when we set up the vendor file. So if you didn't set that general ledger account when you set up your vendor, you may want to go back in and set that up. And now we just put in the amount that we're paying on our Visa card there and choose the save option to save that, and then we either print a check out, or if we wrote a check but already just wrote it, or if we had them withdraw it directly from our account, we could put that it's an EFT payment. And then we'll just go ahead and cancel out of that. We don't need to see that right now. The other thing to note here is if we were paying, say, $500, but a portion of that was finance charge that we're paying, then we would want to split up this distribution so that the portion that we're paying against the liability is on that first line, and then however much of the finance charge we're having to pay, that would go on a second line and post to an expense account for our credit card finance charges.